Well, hey everybody, it's Joe the UCX guy. I'm here to talk about a tour of my UCX system. So here I am in the very first phone, which is the bathroom. Let's take a look at this. So I have a M7208, which actually I use this older looking beigey phone so that it could match the whole implement of like the decor in this bathroom, kind of the off-white color. And actually this phone is in pretty good shape. I think it's got to be a little bit newer of a phone because it has the Nortel logo on it. So this is one that probably came out around 2000, 2001. So I have the buttons and everything programmed just like on a BCM, but again this is on the UCX. Let's say I want to do a page. Test page 1, 2, test page 1, 2. And I release just like on a North Star phone. I want to make an outgoing call.
Good day.
Oops, I just called the same extension. So let's move on. This is the bedroom and a cool nifty bed frame that I built. And here I have an 1165E on my nightstand. These were really nice phones. They're probably the top of the line of the Nortel phones. So if you take a look, I actually have the graphical package on the keycaps, which I tend to like a little bit better. They're a little more universal than the words. And I copied my own background into the phone, a JPEG image. And it's just a great phone to have. Notice the blue light is on. That is letting me know there's a message in the central mailbox for the whole phone system. So I'll move from the bedroom now to the hallway where I have an 1110 set phone. Let's focus in on here. Notice the extension name up in the corner, date and time. And a pretty cool nifty little phone. I can access features and services. The services button allow me to change things such as, let's go down to like, focus in on this a little better, like ringtone, invoke. Then I can go up. There, that's a pretty interesting ringtone. So that's here in the hallway with a collection of signs that I obtained legally from a town in northern Michigan when they were getting rid of them in a surplus sale. So we go over here into the kitchen, and here in the kitchen I actually have a Nortel 1120E, but it is a SIP phone, not a Unistim phone. Most all the phones on my system are Unistim based, but I wanted to have one SIP phone just for testing, and it's actually connected. Up here, if you look in the corner, there's a flashing TP link that's a wireless adapter, and the internet is plugged into that TP link. So I didn't have to run a cable actually to my kitchen. Instead I used the TP link. So this phone kind of operates like a Unistim phone, but it has a little bit more funkier features based on SIP. So let's say I want to access that paging system. I just dial 4. Oops, didn't do it right. Test page 1, 2, test 1, 2. I can actually program buttons into it, like the page, or I can do the call forward. Let's say I forward the call. My calls are now, let's see, I didn't really forward. Let's forward to, now the calls are forwarded to 4600. Then I press call forwarding. It's now disabled, enabled, whatever. You can mess around with that on there. So let's go over to the next phone. I have another 1165E on the end table here in my kitchen area. So that's a nifty looking phone with the same Nortel backdrop. Then over here I have a Nortel 1165E. Try to focus in on the color display here. It actually has a sidecar on it, so I tried to make a background image that would complement the sidecar, which for some reason has never been made in color. Would have been really nice if they would have made those in color. And also this phone's kind of unique. I got the Avaya logo on there and the Nortel one. It's a later edition one. Notice I have Avaya and Nortel on the base. So intermingled products there based on the merger and acquisition with Nortel and Avaya. Traffic light, which does light up. I don't have it lit up now. My collection of rotary phones, Western Electric, as a tribute to this building, which was formerly a Western Electric factory here in Chicago. Now here's where I have most of the phones. A little bit crazy. My desk shares an 1165E, which I use quite a bit because of its colorful display. Then here's the monster of all the phones, is the 1150E, which is a call center phone, but I've set it up here on my UCX to be like a attendant console phone. You notice I have all the extensions that are all logged in right now into the system. Some are remote, like these all down here are remote extensions in other places, and the ones up here on the top are all internal. But the cool thing is I can see any friends that are connected, if they're using the phone or not, or I can call them directly with just pressing a button like that, but that's calling internal. And the phone's set up with a whole bunch of different lines so it can handle a whole bunch of calls at once. Not that I'll be really doing a call center application here in my apartment, but it is a test to show that this could be what the evolution of the M2250 from the CS1000 with the attendant console could be something like this. A handset sits there, or you can also plug a headset into this. Then I have a trusty old 1120 back here in the corner with 2 missed calls. That clears it when you do that. I have an i2004 first generation. I had to upgrade the firmware to the latest firmware. That was a challenge. I'd have to do a video on that. I have a 1220 here with a sidecar on it, KEM, and I've also programmed some auto dials into it. One for paging too, so I can call the paging system. Test page 1 2, test 1 2. And then I have an 1140E, one of the best phones in the 1100 series. And over here is a M7324 connected to the UCX as well. So I've programmed features into it, such as paging. Let's make a call to it. I'll answer it. I'll park it. Parked on 525, it's saying parked wait. I go over here and pick the call up. 525. So that's a collection of the phones on my desk, and I also have a phone down here, a i2004 latest generation one, and there's the actual UCX from eMetrotel right here. I have it here under my desk, connected in centrally with a Nortel BSR222, and back here is a DSL modem, and back there is actually a page controller connected to a 66 block. You access that by dialing 81. And it's actually connected to an analog trunk port right here on my BCM. But I've set up an auto dial pattern through the UCX to access that paging system. So down here, if you look under my desk here on the left side, I have a BCM50 that is a BCM50 with a BES50 underneath for PoE. And next to it is a former BCM50 that's been converted to a UCX digital gateway where I pop the hard drive out and put the new one in. And that controls the digital phones on my UCX. And down here another PoE switch and a base stack, which I really don't use right now, and a TOA amplifier for the paging. And over here is an i2001 with an RCA cable running out of it back to the amplifier, and I use that as a paging controller. I splice the wires to the speaker, so actually when you dial that 44444 extension, it rings, but I actually set up a page zone for that, so then you can actually page through that phone and it gets amplified through the speakers. And then one last phone is a novelty of sorts. Is a M7310, which I did a video on earlier. And this is actually a pretty cool red phone. I put this little emergency 911 sign I had from Purdue, and I thought it looked pretty good on this phone. So this is the only one connected to the BCM still. So I have this on the BCM system that you saw underneath down here. So this is pretty much a good tour. You can see I have a nice collection of liquor. Oops, and I'm actually getting a phone call, so I'm going to have to answer that. So it's coming from my friend in Seattle, Justin, who's SIP trunked into my system. So I'm going to have to go ahead and take his call. Let's see. You're right. Hey, where are you located? What town are you located in? Tell everybody here on the video.
Snoqualmie Pass.
Alright, so I got my friend here in Washington. He's just called me through a SIP trunk, and we're all connected. So thanks everybody. Have a great night.